In this series of shorter episodes, cultivated by his ways, not captivated by his works, we draw from Miles Stanford's The Green Letters, chapter 17, titled Cultivation. Across 10 short days, we ask, will we be captivated by works or cultivated by his ways? Across these 10 days, one truth has come through again and again. And that's that signs and wonders are incredible, but if they become the focus and we are chasing them, we remain immature in our sonship. Israel, Moses, Peter, Paul, and the hidden years of so many saints of old all testify that fascination with his acts leave us stuck in our maturity, but submission to his ways matures us as his sons. Signs follow sons who have had their independence broken by the fathers. Sons do not have to chase after them. In fact, as we saw with Paul in Acts chapter 20, it's an average day for the Son of God to move in the miraculous. And so the whole aim of cultivation is not outward signs or even ministry or moments of manifest presence, as great as all of those are. And yes, there is a serious amount of work for us to do that's been prepared in advance for us to do. But the goal of cultivation is the maturing of the life of Christ in the new man, so that we can truly be unto our Father all that he has purposed for us to be for himself. And Paul's words to the Galatians carry the heart of a dad who's really hurting for his kids. We read in Galatians 4:19, "My little children, for whom I am again suffering birth pangs until Christ is completely and permanently formed within you." And he had labored among them, preaching Christ crucified, seen them begin in the Spirit, in Holy Spirit, and then watch them drift back to self-effort and to the law. And he wrote earlier, just a chapter before in chapter 3, he says, "Oh, you foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you or cast a spell over you, before whose very eyes Jesus Christ was openly and graphically set forth and portrayed as crucified? Let me ask you this one question. Did you receive the Holy Spirit as the result of obeying the law and doing its works? Or was it by hearing the message of the gospel and believing it? Are you so foolish and so senseless and so silly? Having begun your new life spiritually with the Holy Spirit, are you now reaching perfection by dependence on the flesh?" And so let me submit this to you today. How much of what we call spiritual, our attempts to worship our way into manifestations of signs and wonders, and I've got a whole series on that called Already In. What if all of that isn't in reality just good-looking flesh, performance-based flesh? Because Paul's encouragement to them was not that they should be doing greater activity for Christ, but for Christ to be fully formed in them. And this is the center of all of the Father's dealings. Miles Stanford wrote this in the Green Letters, and I quote, "It is not so much a matter of what we do, but what we are. Not so much of what we are in ourselves, but what Christ is in us." And that is the measure of cultivation. Outward works may appear impressive, but unless Christ is being formed within, in the new man, the Father's goal, his ultimate intention, his eternal purpose has not been realized. Watchman Nee stresses the same point. The self-life must be exposed and broken so that the treasure of Christ may be released. And we will be talking a lot more about this in the coming weeks. Because without this inner formation, this breaking of the soul, all of our activity remains empty and completely independent from him. This is why the Father plows deeply, hides us in seasons of obscurity, withholds from us the glamour of outward success. He is bringing his sons into greater depths of maturity. And I wonder if you have realized that this could be what is happening to you in your life right now. The outer man is being broken. The soul is being broken of its strength and independence, so that the inner life of Christ may be formed and expressed through your soul, through your outward man. Because the Father will not settle for spectators who are enchanted by his acts. He is after sons who know his ways, who carry his heart, and who reveal the life of his Son. And so Christ formed within us is the only foundation that endures and the only life the Father is actually looking for. And to close out this 10-day short series on Cultivated by His Ways, I want to read another excerpt from Frank Viola's The Untold Story of the New Testament Church. And for those of you who have a copy of this, I'm reading from page 580. The Christians also do something that's exotically rare in the Roman Empire. They begin to love each other and care for one another's needs, even to the point of laying down their lives for each other. The early wanderers, the apostles of God, declare the message of Christ and his glorious kingdom. They herald the message in city after city, town after town, being expelled from many of them due to the radical nature of the message. With rare exception, they only stay with the new kingdom communities they found a short period of time, often 3 to 6 months. They then leave them alone to the Holy Spirit, trusting the foundation they laid, believing it to be gold, silver, and precious stone. Thus, it is able to endure the fires of hell. And fire does fall both from the Jewish community and the pagans who surround them. Again, these apostolic workers only spend an average of 3 to 6 months with the new believing communities, only to leave them alone for a year or more. And they survived. But how? What on earth did those men preach in such a short period of time? The answer? They proclaimed the titanic, earth-shaking gospel of the kingdom, a gospel that utterly transforms people, and it causes them to endure fire. The gospel brought the lost a spiritual reality so glorious, so powerful, and so incredible that it shook the empire to its foundations. But the tragedy is that most Christians today have never heard or experienced that gospel. And that gospel gave the new believers an indwelling Lord. Indeed, the overriding power of the New Testament church rests upon the indwelling Christ. Sons who have walked this path live by the indwelling life of Christ. They bear his likeness, they choose his mind, and they express his life. And this is the result of cultivation, the Father's eternal intention and the hope of all of his dealings. And so I leave you with this at the end of this series. Allow the Father to cultivate you as his son. And I will warn you that this is a lifelong, ongoing process of cultivation as he deals with our deep independence. And allow him to do this so that you and I become unto him all that he has purposed in us for himself.